To get started, I want you to think of your most fun friend. Just picture them in your mind. You got it? Good. I had a friend like that who never really made fun of people, but always made sure everyone was having a great time. He was the person that you wanted at your hangouts because more people would show up if he was there. I'm guessing you probably have a friend like that. Somebody that has a huge effect on the people around them, whether they know it or not. And maybe you know somebody that is so much fun that everybody wants to hang out with them and be around them. Or they're so nice, they literally make you want to be a nicer person. Or they work so hard that his or her teammates work harder because of them. Or maybe it's the opposite for you. Maybe you know somebody that is so mean, other people always feel on the edge when they're around them. Or someone who's always ticked off, so they kind of bring the mood down. Or somebody that's so loud that people literally have to shout to talk over them. The whole room gets louder because they're there. Whether it's a good thing or a not so good effect, here's what's true about nearly everybody that has a significant effect on the people around them. They don't really think about it. And that's what makes this series so interesting and so tricky. For the next few weeks, we're talking about the you effect, how you affect the people and the situations around you. In other words, we're talking about influence. For some of you, your influence is obvious. On the other hand, some of you may say, I don't affect, impact, or influence anyone. The me effect is at 0. Either way, that's totally normal. And either way, the truth is this. No matter what you or I think about influence, it's possible, even probable, that we don't realize how much you affect or me affect there really is or what could happen because of it. We're going to look at someone who used what they had to affect others in the Bible. Even though they didn't have very much, when Jesus traveled around in his 3 years of ministry, crowds almost always followed. It could have been because they had heard about Jesus wanting to heal people, or they wanted something, or they were just curious. But whatever the reason, Jesus had a lot of influence and people were always around him. Sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee, that is the Sea of Tiberias. And a great crowd of people followed him because they saw the signs he had performed by healing the sick. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover festival was near. When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he had already had in his mind what he was going to do. In other words, you've got to be kidding me. If we're going to feed everyone, there better be someone with a lot of cash around to make that happen. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many? And that's when Jesus went to work. But here's maybe the most important question we could ask. Who had the biggest impact in this passage? And then there's the disciples. They were impactful just by associating with Jesus. But the real superstar of the story may not be who you think, the boy with the lunch. But the truth is, it wasn't the amount of what he had that allowed him to make a difference. It was his willingness to use what he had that made him influential. Jesus wasn't looking for any of that. The only thing that mattered was that the boy brought all he had, and it was enough. Because ultimately, this was about the power of Jesus and what Jesus was capable of doing through someone who was willing to be used to offer what he had. When it comes to you affecting the world around you, it's all about you being willing to show up and offer what you have. But before that's possible, you have to recognize this. You have more of an effect than you think. Imagine if the little boy listening to Jesus teach believed he could have no effect on the situation. There would be no story to tell. The way we see influence needs to change. In other words, having an impact isn't about doing more, having more, or knowing more people. Just imagine what God could do with the you effect in the world around you. As you think about it, here are a few steps to consider. First, identify the who. Who are the immediate people in front of you that you have the potential to influence? Who are the people closest to you? Maybe it's your siblings, a friend, a teammate, or other people in your family. Second, identify the need. What is it that the people around you need? Is it encouragement, time, someone to listen, someone to help them with their homework? And third, identify what you can do to help and then do it. Before we head to life groups, I want you to think about a person in your life who has affected you in a positive way. What was it about them that allowed them to have an impact on you? How did their influence impact your life for the good? In the same way that others have had an effect on you, you have the same ability to have an effect on others. That's why we have life groups, because the people you're around have an effect on you and you have an effect on them, maybe more than you think.